My motivation and my love for sports, I'd say, definitely came from my father. He was a big time, he played sports his whole life, loved soccer, he was a football kicker as well in high school, loved hockey. I remember when I was younger, he took me to Islander practices when they were still practicing at Kenny Egg Park in like the early 80s. So a lot of my love for wanting to be around that was from him putting me around that.
I think it's, as a parent, as any parent, it's always extremely important that you stand by them and help them just try to accomplish as much as they can. Not try to push them into something they're not able to, but just being alongside them and just working with them and, just let them enjoy themselves and accomplish whatever they need to accomplish.
Well, I played soccer my whole life, from youth up until 9th grade. 9th grade was the last year I played soccer. I was just kind of burnt out and I didn't want to play it anymore. And it was a fall sport, so my only other option I thought was to be a kicker on the football team. I didn't play any sports in 10th grade. It was a transition year. I went from a private school to a public school. So I started kicking in 11th grade and in 12th grade pretty much because I didn't want to play soccer and I thought that could be an easy transition. I had a pretty strong leg and I wanted to be with my friends, so I made the switch to kicking footballs. A lot of times they'll go for 2 points. A lot of teams won't have a kicker, so I thought I could be that extra added whatever the team needed. Whenever we got into the 40-yard line, we would have 3 points on the board, and I just became obsessed with it. And it was a part where I was able to kind of be with two of my closest friends, were the holder and the snapper on my team, and I just loved it at that point. So I knew I wanted to really make that kind of an obsession of mine to go into college that way. Naturally in life, I have a little bit of a neurotic personality, or a little bit more high-strung, which you would think being a kicker, you'd have a lot of the pressure on you and that might not do well. But kicking actually calmed me down. I really wanted, I wanted to have that to myself and have that moment. And once I was able to get out there and release kind of the thought of, make or miss, like this is on me, it really helped me kind of have tunnel vision, and I never really looked back. I never let it worry me that way.
Being able to see him go on the field, knowing what he's going through on the inside, and see him go on the field and perform at such a high level and so well with so much confidence, it's really cool to see, both aspects of Craig like that.
Each level I have some pretty good memories and some pretty good people along the way that I'm still close with, which is really nice. In high school, 11th and 12th grade, obviously, is when you meet a lot of your first friends, your first teammates. My senior year at Jericho, we only lost one game, which was kind of a novelty for Jericho because we were terrible before and after that for a long time. So we still keep in touch. Again, a lot of my closest friends are from high school. At Hofstra, that was a great experience because I was a kid from Jericho High School going into a Division I program and having 70 teammates from all over the country. So that was a learning experience in really getting to know people and getting to really have a lot of fun on another level. Whether it was, there are things that I can't mention on camera, but then there are things, with as far as the fun events that we'd go to after games. We did a lot of hospital visits, a lot of on-campus visits, messing with each other, a lot of freshman and sophomore hazing. After that, I was 2 years in arena football, and again, that was another collection of memories where this was everybody there was playing for money now. Now it was, you're playing to be paid and you're playing for a contract. And even though, you're an individual commodity at that point. So that taught me that in the sense that everybody was interchangeable. And you'd see friends there one week that were gone the next week, which was kind of weird for the first time. My first game, actually it was my first game of the 2010 arena football season. We played away in Baltimore. And I remember working out, working my ass off all off season to really want to be the best kicker in the league that year. And I remember traveling to Baltimore. They had the defending championship team. We played at this giant arena, tons of fans, and I went 5 for 5 that game. And I remember walking out of there being super proud of myself because all that hard work. And we got our asses handed to us that game. I think we lost by 30-something points. And not to say that personal accomplishment was over the team, but I walked out of there knowing that I put in my work, and I walked out of there 3 for 3 on field goals, 2 for 2 on extra points, and I could still rattle off every single one of them, 9 years later now, because it meant a lot to me to do that. And then in semi-pro is kind of like beer league softball on crack. Like, some of these guys still had ambitions of playing in arena and some smaller leagues, and some guys were out there just because they played in high school. So it was like you got your like cast of characters, and but that was, again, it was always a fun time. 30, 40 guys, and I had a couple opportunities early on when I was starting kicking where I think nerves got the best of me and I missed some game-tying kicks. And then a couple different times I had 2 overtime game winners, which was pretty cool. And one time they carried me off the field, which was pretty fun, and dumped beer on me, which is not fun because I'm celiac, so all the gluten started to freak me out while they were carrying me off the field, but it happens. For me, football's helped me in multiple ways. It's helped me understand working for the benefit of a team goal, again, versus working to show everybody that I'm a superstar and then having the team collapse. Like, what good does that do for everyone else? So for me, it's a mentality that I want to be the guy. And for me, I was a captain of my arena football team for 2 seasons, and in work and using football as a guide, I want to be the person who's going to be in the front line. I want you to follow my example. I want to set the example because I know, my goal, or what I want as my goal for the team. If we buy in, hopefully we can reach that. Being an athlete with Crohn's, being an athlete with celiac, it actually helped me get out to the community more, because there weren't a lot of athletes that were kind of outspoken about having Crohn's disease and having celiac disease. So that helped me meet a lot of people. I was able to start a foundation that was pretty successful for a good part of 5 years, Celiac Disease Foundation, that expanded across the country, and it was really based on football. We started with football. It was more about showing people that, regardless of health condition, if you really put your head down, you could accomplish your goals. I had the same goals from when I was a teenager playing in 11th grade, and celiac and Crohn's kind of interrupted right in the middle, but once I learned how to work around that, I was still able to kind of achieve the goals that I had set out for as a younger person. For me, it helped me find a place where I was always, quote unquote safe, or not necessarily safe, but a place where I could not have to deal with anxiety and Crohn's and celiac. It was a place where I could walk up to the football field as a kicker with a bag of 10 footballs by myself and kick for 2 hours. And I'd work on my craft, but I'd also be in a place where, in my mind, I loved being there. I have 3 Guinness World Records. They're all tied to football, to field goals. My first one, I have the most field goals in 12 hours, 40-yard field goals in 12 hours, 717. The second one was the most 40-yard field goals in 24 hours, I have 1,000. And then just this last year, I did the most 40-yard field goals in 1 minute, which was 11. Each one of them had a fundraising component that was very important to me. Each one of them has a hint of personal glory tied to it, which, it was almost like addicting to want to keep, having that kind of stuff and piling those things on. What that did for me was it gave me kind of a head start on wanting to either fundraise or be a part of fundraising and use football as a backing for it. So the Guinness records were a creative way to market myself and my cause, and then at the same time do something that could be, for me, it's a forever thing. I'll always have those things, I'll have those memories, the people that were involved, and then at the same time they helped me kick off really kind of a campaign and awareness into celiac disease, more than anything. So again, I enjoy doing them because for me I get to keep them forever, but as a byproduct we were able to really do it more for a bigger cause each time. My family would be there at the games, so it was always important for me that they showed that support, and always knowing that, and it was always a big thing knowing that regardless of how kind of wild the goal would have been, arena football, world records, whatever it was, that the support from the family was there. They were always there at the events, they were always there at the games. My home arena in Arena Ball was in New Jersey, and they were at every game. So it wasn't close in New Jersey, it was deep in the heart. It's a great foundation. It's always been a great foundation and gave me the understanding that regardless of how I wanted to pursue something, I knew that I can go to one of, the 4 of my 2 siblings and my 2 parents and be able to have that support. I think that's that's probably the most important thing in knowing that you can succeed in something, is being able to have that kind of belief and faith of people behind you.
Well, we've always been a very close family, and to see him go through all these different phases of football in his life, all these different phases in other aspects of his life, it was always very important for me to be by his side for all of it, because I know when I've achieved different things or when I've been at different points in my life, he's also been there for me. So to be able to be in each other's lives for these big moments and for the smaller ones has really been, a blessing for us.
Craig was always so passionate about sports, and as a parent it is extremely important to support your children, whatever passionate they have. It is our duty as a parent, let's say, to encourage them to pursue their passion.
If I had to leave behind a legacy, I'd love to have, family and friends and people that I've worked with and students that I've worked with just further down the line appreciate other people, appreciate doing things for the right reason, appreciate the value of having people around them as much as I do, and I'd love that to be a legacy.